To make this He Is Risen mosaic basket, let's talk about our supplies. I have my turn it this way, I have my H hook and I have worsted weight yarn. I used Karen 1 pound, but you can also use Lion Brand Heartland and We Crochet Mighty Stitch. There's lots of stuff that you can make this with. Really, you can make it in any size, but I have some worsted weight here. So, and you need 2 colors. You can make or any number of colors you would like, but I use 2 to make it simple. To get started, we're gonna make a magic circle or a magic ring, and I'll walk you through that. So the way I like to make the magic circle is to hold the tail with my hand, hold it with my thumb, wrap it around 2 fingers, flip my hand over so where that crosses in the back, I stick my hook under the loop and grab my yarn and pull it up. This is how I would make the magic circle here. But instead of pulling it tight onto my hook, I'm gonna take my fingers out and I'm gonna slowly just transfer how I'm holding it. And for this pattern, we're gonna double crochet 9 stitches into this magic circle here, and we're also going to chain 2 to start with. So first things first, let's chain 2. And there are different ways you can make the circle, but for this pattern, the chain 2 is not going to count as a stitch. So we're just going to double crochet 9 times into this circle. So here we go. It's a little finicky sometimes to hold on to your circle as you get started. Sometimes you just have to adjust where your stitches are. Three. 4. If your circle starts to, you notice that your tail right here is getting a little short, you can pull it. You just want to pull it so tight that you can't get your hook inside the circle still. So we have 4, we need to get to 9. Make sure you're crocheting into the circle and over both the circle and the tail. How many do we have here? We don't count our chain 2, so we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. We need 1 more. That's 9. Now we need to close our circle. First, we're going to, you can either slip stitch into the top of the first double crochet. This is, let's see if we can zoom in here. These 2 on the side, this is the chain 2. We're not going to go into this. These 2 loops up here, this is the top of that first double crochet. So I can slip stitch into this, or what I like to do for this base is I'm going to take out my hook. This is an advanced move, not an advanced move, but just an advanced beginner move if you want to try a different way for your basket base. But take out your hook, turn your work, stick your hook through the top of that first stitch where you would normally slip stitch through. Bring your yarn to this side of your work, go through the loop that was on your hook and just pull it through tight. Okay, this is going to push the chain 2 to the inside of your work, and then you flip your circle back and put your hook back in the right way, and you're ready to go for the next round. Before we go on to the next round, we're going to pull our circle tight. So on the back side, you have your tail from your magic ring. Just pull that, and you'll see the center close right up. I'm going to take my hook out here so I can make sure I really hold it and pull it tightly. Okay, that feels pretty good. Okay, so we have 9 double crochets in this magic ring. From here on out, we need to add grow our circle by 9 stitches. So it's a really easy pattern to follow. We're going to start off by doing 2 double crochets into every stitch around. First, we have to chain 2 to give our circle, our next round, some height. And then I'm going to go into that same first stitch, 2 double crochets. Then I'm going to go 2 into the next stitch. And I'm going to continue around 2 double crochets in each stitch. Okay, we have 18 stitches. So remember, we're growing by 9 stitches each round. So we have 9 in the first round, 18 in the next round. I'm going to show you again how to join these. Your chain 2 kind of rolls to the back here. So here is my first double crochet. I want to pull this loop through to the other side. So I'm going to take my hook out, flip my circle over, pull the yarn to the back side, go through the top 2 loops, grab the loop and pull it through, and then I can turn my work, and you can see that the seam here kind of disappears. It's really just going to be on the back. It's going to make like a little ridge on the back, but it'll make the bottom really flat on the outside. Okay, ready for the next round? We're going to go chain 2 to give us our height. Now we have to add 9 more stitches to the next round. So 18 plus 9 is 27. So when we get done, we're going to have 27 stitches. In order to do that this time, instead of 2 into every stitch, we're going to do 1 into the first stitch, 2 into the next stitch, and we're just going to repeat that. 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets into the next stitch. We're going to repeat that all the way around. Here we go. 2 double crochets into the last stitch, and then we're going to join here to the top. It doesn't matter if you want to join a different way. Just be consistent throughout so that your circle can be really flat. Okay, chain 2, time for round 4. We got to grow by 9 stitches again, so we're going to have 36 stitches when we get to the end. This time we're going to do double crochet, 1 double crochet into each of the first 2 stitches, and then an increased stitch where we have 2 double crochets. So double crochet into the first stitch, double crochet into the second stitch, and then 2 double crochets into the third stitch. And we're going to repeat that pattern all the way around. 1 double crochet, 1 double crochet, 2 double crochets, all the way to the end of the round. All right, we're at, Here's my circle, the base of my basket. And we have rounds 1, 2, 3, and 4 done. We're going to grow by 9 stitches each round so we get a really nice, perfect, flat circle. Our chain 2s at the beginning, they're going to be here on a little ridge that it's going to be on the inside, but you can see that the seam really is pretty invisible here. We need to keep growing until we have 12 rounds, and then we will switch to the mosaic chart and start building the walls. So I'll be back in a little bit. Okay, now that we have our basket base done, we have all 12 rounds, where it's time to move on to the mosaic chart. So here is the overlay mosaic chart, and if this is something that is new to you, I'm going to give you a brief overview of the symbols and how to read the chart, and then we will the types of stitches, and then we will jump right into the first couple rounds here. I'll get you started. So let's zoom in. Okay, so first thing you want to know when you're doing the overlay mosaic chart is that because this has letters on it, it's not a design. There is actually going to be a different way that you need to read the chart if you are left-handed or right-handed. But don't worry, the premium PDF pattern that you can buy has the chart for both left and right-handed. Well, the chart doesn't actually change much. I did just put like this little ledger here on the opposite side so that you know what color to use, but the chart itself isn't different. The difference if you're left-handed or right-handed is which direction you're going to read the chart. So if you are left-handed, you're going to want to read the chart from left to right. If you're right-handed, you're actually going to start over here and read the chart from right to left. So I do have 2 different versions of this chart. For left-handed, you'll notice that the numbers start with column 1, and on the right-handed version of the chart, the number 1 starts over here so that you can follow along. But the concept is the same. Each row of overlay mosaic, it starts with color A. That's the first round. Here we go. And this first column to the left of the red line, you can just ignore. This is not an actual stitch. This is just here to tell you which color you need to make on this row, because overlay mosaic is a really simple concept where each row is done in a different color, and then you use the chart to tell you whether you're going to back loop only single crochet, or if you're going to do a double crochet that is into the front loop of the row below. And that's how we get the really unique color changing technique here. So the best way I can explain to read these charts is that regardless of the color of the actual box, everything that has nothing in the chart, a completely blank box, that is going to be a back loop only single crochet stitch. And if it has an X in the box, regardless of the color, that's where you're going to do a double crochet into the front loop of the row below, or I guess 2 rows below. You'll see that by alternating color A, B, all the way up, I'm actually going to put this double crochet into the front loop of the row 2 rows down, or rounds down. So it'll be really obvious when you are actually making this up or working this up, because you're going to be using color A and you're going to connect it to another color A row. That's how it'll always be. You won't ever be going into the front loop of the opposite color than what you're working. So just keep that in mind. If the box is blank, single crochet in the back loop only. If there's an X, double crochet 2 rows down below into the front loop of the same color. So let's get started. I'm going to move my chart out of the way, but I guess to get you started, the first round of this chart is going to be, there's no X's in it. Actually, the first 2 rounds are. So these are going to be really simple rounds where it's just single crochet in the back loop only. I'll show you how to do that, and then we'll switch colors for the second round. So following our chart here, I'm going to set this off to my side so I can follow along. We are going to, this is how we finished our basket base. You can see that the chain 2 is this ridge on the inside, makes it not super noticeable on the outside of the basket. Bottom, we are going to chain 1, and like the chart says, we're going to back loop only single crochet all the way around. The chain 1 doesn't count as a stitch, so here we go. This will also be the first part of the wall, so by doing the back loop, we're going to actually start going at 90 degrees from the basket as you work it up. So into the back loop, single crochet. There are no more increases from here on out. You're always going to make 108 stitches all the way around. I have 1 stitch left to make here, and we are going to then need to change colors for round 2 to color B, which is the white. And as I make this last stitch, I am going to finish the stitch in color A, and I'm going to slip stitch to the top of in the back loop of the first stitch in the round, but I'm going to drop the tail, and I'm going to bring in the new color, and I'm going to pull that through. And now I have a new color on my hook, and I am going to pull the blue tight. I'm going to hold on to the white. I'm going to chain 1. And on the chart, round 2 is all back loop only single crochets. If we can see it here, even though it looks white in the boxes, that's just showing you the finished pattern, but we're really working color B. There's no X's here, so everything is just like round 1. So we slip stitched into the top of the first stitch, so we're going to go right back into the back loop of that stitch and continue single crochet all the way around. Okay, we're back around. I finished round 2 in the white, and we're going to switch to the blue. So I'm going to insert my hook in the back loop, and I didn't cut the tail. You don't, that's the beauty of Mosaic Crochet in the round, is you don't have to cut your yarn tails. So I'm going to insert my hook into the top of the first single crochet and pull the blue through, pull the white tight, chain 1. And this row is, the entire row has the X's on it, which means every single stitch all the way around is going to be a double crochet into row 1, the front loop of the blue that we made in the first round. So let me show you how that works. So here is our row of white. Here are, as you can see, since we did back loop only, this is the front loop of row 1. Okay, so we're going to yarn over and make a double crochet in every single one of these. So come in through the front, stick your hook through, and then finish your double crochet just like you would do anything else. Again, move on to the next. You can kind of like fold the white backwards, and then that front loop really sticks out. So stick your hook in there and make regular double crochets all the way around. Again, here's my front loop. If you have the white, just kind of push it to the back. Okay, we just finished round 3 where we did the double crochets into row 1, and I am getting ready to switch to the white for row 4. So I'm going to stick my hook through the back loop of the first double crochet and switch to the white. Okay, so chain 1, and what I really think everyone should master with overlay mosaic is what I refer to as the locking stitch. I think it has some other names, like the negative stitch, but I like the term lock stitch or locking stitch because it sort of like locks the backside, as you can see. So the entire round 2 was just back loop double crochet, and because we did those double crochets over the top of it, it's just kind of hanging loose here, and that's okay. I mean, that's your personal preference, but I don't like that it sits loose there because it would just catch stuff and, you know, not necessarily look as nice, I think, in a basket form because people will see the inside of your basket. Or this is really helpful on blankets where you can get a kind of two-sided blanket with really not a lot of effort, and it's not a very hard technique to master. So let's just get into what the locking stitch is. Essentially, you're going to do your single crochet into the back loop per the pattern, but before you, instead of just doing a regular single crochet into the back loop, you're going to put it through the back loop of the row, and then you're going to go find the back loop of the row below, the white row below, and you're going to single crochet. You might have to do it a little more loosely than you normally would, but I don't find that I have to change my tension a ton when I'm making this. So let's show this again. So we're going to go through the back loop of the blue, and then we're going to find the back loop of the white as well. Yarn over and finish out my single crochet. Let me do a few of these here. It takes a little bit of getting used to, but I bet, you know, one round in, you'll pretty much have it down. But you can see from the front, it's not going to look any different than it should. It's going to be in the back loop of the blue row. And then on the back side, you can see that the white rounds are connected to each other now. So there's no more separation. This is probably a better view. There's no separation anymore. If I were to just do regular back loop single crochets, I'll show you a couple. If I do that instead, as many overlay mosaic patterns use, there's nothing wrong with this, but you would see that these rounds on the back side, they won't ever be connected. So the inside of your basket, as it builds up, you'll have this little space gap section. So you can do the locking stitch in every stitch like I've done. That just keeps it really nice and clean. I know others might like to do it every like 2 or 3 stitches, just so that every so often it pinches that up and it doesn't leave a very big gap. You can play around with it, see what you like. This entire round just continues to go around. I'm just going to keep going, but I'm going to use my locking stitch the rest of the way here. But round 4 is all back loop single crochet stitches with the white. Okay, we're ready for round 5 here. And so far the pattern hasn't, you know, it's all looked the same. I've got, you can see how the not doing the locking stitch looks with your rows. And Here we're going to start to get into the pattern. So we're actually going to flip back and forth following the chart as to whether there is, I'm going to find row 5 here, use a ruler, use a pen, highlighter, cross off so you know what row you're on. But the first 3 stitches are going to be double crochet into the front loop of the blue row 3, and then we're going to switch. See, it has an empty box, so that means we're going to do back loop single crochet, and then we'll switch back and forth. So we'll walk through this first part together. So we have 3 double crochets into the front loop, and these are easy to identify. You're always going to go into that double crochet that you've already done the row below, just the front loop. Okay, then it's 3 back loop only single crochets. Then we're going to go back to 3 double crochets into that front loop of the row, 2 rows down. Let's see what's next. 3 more back loop only single crochets. Two double crochets. Don't forget you can kind of push the white to the back as you look for that front loop. Then we have 9 back loop only single crochets. Okay, so that's getting you started. You're just going to keep following the chart. Anywhere there's an X, you're doing a double crochet 2 rows down, or you're just going to do back loop only all the way around. So now we're ready for the next round that is in white. I've got my white ready. And we're going to chain 1, and we have 3 back loop only single crochets. I'm going to do the locking stitch again. So I'm going to put it in the back loop, and then I'm going to find the back loop of this white row below. Three of those. And then I'm going to do 3 double crochets into the front loop of this white row that's exposed. So that's how you know it's 2 rows down, right? You have a blue and then the white. So 3 double crochets into those front loops. Then I have 3 back loop only, again with the lock stitch. I'll show you that here in a second, how that's working up. 3 more double crochets. Working the locking stitch. And then we have 9 double crochets with the white. Okay, so Here you can see how this round is working up, and you can see how the back is going. I have the locking stitch where, just except for that one where we didn't do it, so you can see the difference and how the inside of the basket would look. Here's the white, we're working it through. So then when you switch to the blue next round, you'll do more of the double crochets, and then here where we have these white double crochets, then I would be doing the locking stitch with the blues. It's not as necessary, these are kind of little loops, but that's up to you. I just like to keep it nice and clean. So if I bring my finished basket over here, you can see that all the entire inside of the basket is completely smooth. None of those gaps are showing by doing the locking stitch all around, but that's up to you. So keep doing the chart, and then when we get to the top after row 20 or round 24, then I will show you what we can do for the final row of trim. Okay, so I have the finished basket here, and I just wanted to talk through the final row. So the entire walls are made of overlay mosaic. There are 24 rows all the way around, all the way up in this basket. And then the last bit to close it off, because there would be an entire row that is loose and have that gap again. I wanted to get another round with a locking stitch to really tie that in. So the final round after you completed the chart is I stayed with the white. You could change to a different color if you wanted, but I just did a regular single crochet through the top loop. So both of the loops, if this were the round, I would be doing it through the top loops, and I did a locking stitch on the back. So it's really pulls all of that together and makes a really nice finish to the basket. You can see that it's just a really clean top by being able to do just a regular single crochet through both loops, front and back, and then the locking stitch on the inside. So there you have it. Let me know down below what colors you're gonna make.